म्यूचुअल फंड्स सही है.
Oh, hi. I know, right? Yet another video on mutual funds which says mutual funds sahi hai. Everyone says this, but who will tell which mutual funds to invest in? Shouldn't the videos at the very least tell us how to choose the right mutual funds? Well, guess what? Today's topic is precisely that. But before we begin, you know the drill. Hit the like button, share this video with your friends and your family, and subscribe to this channel for more such content. Welcome back, my Desi NRIs. You may be filled with so many questions while deciding which mutual funds to invest in. It might look something like this. It can get overwhelming sometimes, but don't fret. That's why I'm here. In this video, we'll discuss the following. Factors to consider while choosing mutual funds to invest in. Taxation on mutual funds for NRIs. How NRIs can invest in mutual funds. So without further ado, let's dive into it. Factors to consider while choosing the right mutual funds. Number 1, investment objective. Why do you want to invest in mutual funds? Answering this question is the first step in any investing journey. The goal behind investing in mutual funds will determine the kind of mutual funds you must choose. As an NRI, some of your common goals might be building wealth, saving for retirement, having a passive income stream, saving on tax, and more. You must choose the right kind of mutual funds, whether equity, debt, equity-linked savings scheme, or ELSS, based on your unique objectives. Number 2, tenure. The second factor is tenure. Your tenure is interconnected with your goals and determines the kind of fund you must choose. For example, let's take equity funds, which are usually associated with long-term investments. You can choose large cap, mid cap, and small cap within equity funds based on the duration. You can opt for large cap for stable returns in 3 to 5 years. You can opt for mid to small cap funds, which are relatively more volatile but may also provide high returns over 5 to 7 years. In addition, the ELSS funds have a lock-in period of 3 years, which means you can't withdraw from them for a minimum of 3 years. So understand your tenure and choose your mutual funds accordingly. While we've given an example of long-term investments, you can also have short-term investments, usually associated with debt funds that may give returns for 1 to 3 years. Third is risk appetite. Are you someone who likes to live on the edge? Or do you prefer playing it safe? Don't be confused. We are merely referring to your risk appetite. Risk appetite is not just about preference, but a measure of how much risk you can take without putting yourself in a potential lose-it-all position. Since mutual funds are exposed to market fluctuations and uncertainties, it is important to understand what type of mutual fund suits your risk appetite. While large cap funds are relatively less risky, mid and small cap funds inherently have higher risk. The standard rule is that the higher the risk, the higher the reward. The lower the risk, the better the stability. Number 4, historical performance. So far, we have discussed factors related to you, your goals, your plans, and risk. Now let us discuss the fund-specific parameters. We'll begin with historical performance. Before we discuss this metric, it's important to understand that past performance does not guarantee future results. However, it gives you an idea about how the fund has performed in different market cycles and scenarios, whether it's the bull or bear phases. One of the ways to gauge any fund's performance is to look at its past returns over periods of 1, 3, 5, and 10 years. You can then compare it with its peers in the same category to understand the average and the benchmark. With this, you'll be able to determine how the fund has performed compared to others in the same category over the several years. Leverage these insights to choose the right mutual fund. Next is expense ratio. The expense ratio is a fee fund houses charge you annually. It involves various costs for administration, marketing, distribution, management, etc. Since the expense ratio is a percentage of the total assets in the fund, it decreases the fund's net asset value and essentially eats into your profits. So look at the expense ratio of different funds in the same category and go for the lower ones. Next is exit load. Exit load is yet another fee fund houses charge during redemption of mutual fund returns or switching fund units. It is a percentage of the net asset value and decreases the returns you've made through the investment. Exit load depends on factors such as type and tenure and usually ranges between 0 to 2%. In addition to these, you can also check other fund-specific factors such as the size of the fund, fund manager, and asset management company. Number 7 is compliance with regulations. We saved the most crucial for the last, compliance with regulations for NRIs. As NRIs, you must comply with all the Foreign Exchange Management Act, that is FEMA regulations. Furthermore, if you are an NRI living in the US or Canada, you must adhere to the sections under the Foreign Account Tax Compliance Act, that is FATCA. These are some of the key factors you must consider as an NRI when choosing mutual funds that suit your unique requirements. But wait, there's more. Taxation on mutual funds. Now let's discuss the taxation on mutual funds. When mutual funds are redeemed, the profit received is known as capital gains. If the profits are accrued after holding the mutual funds for 1 year or less, the gains are deemed short-term capital gains or STCG. Alternatively, if profits are earned after a holding period of more than 1 year, the gains are called long-term capital gains or LTCG. The tax levied on both varies and is called STCG tax and LTCG tax respectively. Besides this, investors are also subjected to tax deducted at source or TDS based on the holding period and the type of mutual funds, equity or non-equity. The following table showcases the rates of the aforementioned taxes. I know what you're thinking. These numbers are huge. Are there tax benefits or provisions you can use to reduce the tax? Well, you've got a surprise in store. As mentioned, NRIs can invest in ELSS mutual funds to avail of tax benefits under Section 80C up to 1,50,000 rupees, but that's not all. NRIs also have access to the Double Tax Avoidance Agreement or DTAA or DTAA. DTAA is a treaty signed by two countries to prevent people from paying taxes in two countries for the same income. India has also signed this treaty with several countries such as the UAE and several others, wherein the terms of the agreement may vary with each country. Based on the terms of these treaties, gains earned from investments in India are taxed only in one country. Thus, NRIs can claim the benefit of taxes and TDS in India against the tax liability in their country of residence. The deduction can be claimed by providing documents such as self-declaration cum indemnity format and a copy of citizenship PIO proof to the deductor. Mutual fund gains will not attract tax for NRIs in countries like Kuwait, UAE, etc. as per the DTAA with them. We have done a detailed video on the same. Link is in the description of this video. You can check that out later. How NRIs can invest in mutual funds. And that's it for this video, guys. Now that you know the factors to consider, what are you waiting for? Start doing your research to choose the right mutual fund for you. Subscribe to the channel, as in the next video we'll discuss how NRIs can invest in mutual funds. Just kidding. I wouldn't want you to wait for that long. Let's get right into it. NRIs can invest in mutual funds by following 4 simple steps. Step 1. Setting up an account. You must open an NRI or an NRO account to begin investing in mutual funds. This is because AMCs in India do not accept investments in foreign currency, and FEMA dictates that NRIs can't have their money in a regular resident saving account. But what's the difference between the two? NRI account is used to send overseas earnings to Indian bank accounts. On the other hand, NRO accounts allow NRIs to receive earnings from Indian sources. It is important to note that money in the NRO accounts should be in Indian rupees, and funds from these accounts cannot be repatriated easily. Once you set up your account, it's time to go. Step number 2, choosing the method of investing. Self or direct versus through the power of attorney or POA. In the self or direct method, you will directly execute mutual funds related transactions through normal banking channels. For this, NRIs must submit their application and the Know Your Customer KYC documents. The bank may require an in-person verification for which the person can visit the Indian embassy in their country of residence. The KYC details must also include whether the investments will be on a repatriable or non-repatriable basis. Alternatively, NRIs can invest via a POA, wherein a person can invest on your behalf. For this, the signatures of the NRI and POA must be on the KYC documents. Step 3. Getting KYC done. Without getting the KYC done, NRIs cannot invest in mutual funds. The KYC documents include a recent photograph, copy of PAN card, copy of passport, current residential proof. This can be a temporary one or a permanent address. Bank statement. Certain fund houses may require in-person verification. If you're an NRI in the US or Canada, several AMCs of fund houses do not make investments due to tedious regulations set by FATCA. Certain AMCs do accept investments, but additional documentation will be required. Following is the list of fund houses that accept investments from NRIs in the USA and Canada. Aditya Birla Sun Life Mutual Fund, L&T Mutual Fund, SBI Mutual Fund, UTI Mutual Fund, ICICI Prudential Mutual Fund, DHFL Pramerica Mutual Fund, Sundaram Mutual Fund, PPFAS Mutual Fund. Step 4. Redemption. Different AMCs follow different redemption procedures. Usually, the AMCs credits the investment and gain amount to your NRE or NRO account after deducting the taxes. In some cases, they also write checks for the same. Here's a quick summary of whatever we discussed today in the video. Factors to consider when choosing the right mutual funds: investment objective, tenure, risk appetite, historical performance, expense ratio, exit load, compliance with regulations, taxation on mutual funds, TDS, long-term capital gains tax, short-term capital gains tax, tax benefits under Section 80C and DTAA, steps to invest in mutual funds, setting up an NRE or NRO account, choosing the method of investing, self or POA, that is power of attorney, getting the KYC done, knowing the redemption process. If you found this video valuable, share it with your friends and they see NRI circles. This is me, your host, signing off. See you in the next video. Happy investing. Bye-bye.
Investment in securities market are subject to market risks. Read all the related documents carefully before investing. Please read the risk disclosure documents carefully before investing in equity shares, derivatives, mutual fund, and or other instruments traded on the stock exchanges.